Now live.
Welcome to the City of Madison's City Council meeting. Please all stand to say the Lord's Prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I will now take a roll call. Kavanaugh? Here. Creech?
here.
Lucy Dattilo?
Here.
Randy?
Here.
Chatham? Here. Bartlett?
Here.
Dan Dattilo?
Here.
Okay, we'll move on to the reading and approving of the minutes from the prior meeting. Are there any changes?
I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay. The minutes have been approved. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we need to recess the regular council meeting and bring to order the public hearing regarding COVID-19 federal grant fund for the first round of approved funds.
Good evening, council. Everyone here in the audience. We are required by OCRA, the funding agency that kindly granted us the money back last fall to help with our Small Business Rescue Fund program, which we were very successful in, and you'll hear about that here in a second as part of the hearing. But we are required by them to hold a closeout public hearing. We're now ready to close that grant out, and one of their requirements is that we hold a public hearing. So we're going to do that in conjunction with the Southeast Indiana Regional Planning Commission. Megan Bender's here tonight to help with that. And what I would like to do, I've got a sign-in sheet here for the audience to sign if you want to. Doesn't obligate you to anything. It just shows you're in attendance at our public hearing. So if you would start that, please, Mr. Roos. With that, I'll turn it over to Megan.
Thank you. Like Matt said, my name is Megan Bender. I'm here from the Southeastern Indiana Regional Planning Commission. And I just have a narrative to read to close out the Phase 2 COVID Relief Grant. On July 31st, 2020, the City of Madison applied to the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs for a grant from the State Community Development Block Grant COVID-19 Response Phase 2. This program is funded by the Title I of Federal Housing and Community Development Act of 1974, as amended. Per the program guidelines, these funds were to be used for a community development project that included the following activities: grants to small businesses. The total amount of CDBG funds requested was $250,000. The amount of CDBG funds proposed to be used for activities that would benefit low and moderate income persons was estimated to be $250,000. The applicant also proposed to expend an estimated $50,000 in non-CDBG funds on the project. As proposed in the application, the Madison COVID-19 Small Business Grant Committee was responsible for receiving and reviewing the applications from small businesses. Eligible applicants were required to be a small business of no more than 100 employees located in Madison, Indiana, and employed at least 51% of low to moderate income persons. Eligible applicants were able to apply for up to $10,000. Potential use of these funds applied for included employee retention, payroll expenses, salaries, etc., rents, purchase of equipment, and/or furnishing, supplies, and raw materials. Prohibited use of funds included for personal use and/or personal debt. The Madison COVID-19 Small Business Relief Grant was marketed citywide through the use of multiple platforms, including newspaper, Madison Area Chamber of Commerce, direct email and e-blasts, and social media. Applications were available starting October 1st, 2020 through October 16th, 2020. The Madison COVID-19 Small Business Grant Committee received 10 eligible applications in the first round and 22 applications in the second round. The committee reviewed all applications and as a committee scored them based on critical scoring criteria. Upon scoring all eligible applications, the committee concluded that all 32 small businesses would be awarded grant funding. Based on the amount requested by individuals and the committee scoring system, the award amounts vary per eligible applicant. The scoring method allowed the committee to fund all eligible applicants full or partial funding. Based on the information provided by the awarded businesses, there are approximately 230 beneficiaries of the Madison COVID-19 Response Grant Program Phase 2. Does anyone have any additional questions for me? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here today, and thank you for your partnership and assistance to the city of Madison. I know that our businesses and our community has greatly appreciated your help.
We're
Thank
really
you.
happy to help. It's a great program.
Thanks.
If I could, council, just a quick update as part of the public hearing as well. We were just awarded on Monday, yesterday, another round of funding from OCRA. So they believe that I think they believe in how we operate the program and run it successfully. And we've already got a very long waiting list that we're going to try to weed through and score again. So it'll be some tough decisions to make, but certainly needed still, I think, in COVID. So it's good news there. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, if none of the public have any questions, then we will go ahead and adjourn the public hearing regarding COVID-19 federal grants and reconvene the regular council meeting. So I don't believe we have any presentations, petitions, memorials at this time. Do we, Mr. Mayor? Bob?
He's on the.
No more, Gary.
Okay. Then we will move on to resolutions. And the first resolution is the transferring of funds to the LOIT grant to cover the matching grant.
I'll take care of that.
Resolution number 2021-27, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana, transferring certain funds. Whereas the 2021 annual budget included funds appropriated in various budget lines to be set aside for the 50-50 match requirements for the Community Crossings Match Grant Funds, it is now necessary to transfer those certain funds from their original appropriations into the local road and bridge matching grant fund in order to pay for the Main Street rejuvenation project funded through the Community Crossings Grant Program. Now therefore be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the following certain funds are transferred. MVH restricted asphalt, $167,400. MVH restricted curbs, $18,600. LRS asphalt striping, $72,000. LRS base and prep, $22,500. CDC infrastructure, $65,000, for a total of $345,500 to the local road and bridge matching grant fund, $345,000.
Are there any questions regarding this resolution? Will we vote on it?
I move we approve resolution 2021-27.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next, we move on to the ordinance regarding the Phoenix House non-reverting fund.
I have that one too. Ordinance number 2021-5, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana, establishing the Phoenix House non-reverting fund. Whereas the Common Council of the City of Madison approved the conveyance of real estate, more particularly described as Project Phoenix Inc. and Indiana not-for-profit 501c3 corporation by quitclaim deed to the City of Madison, Indiana. And whereas the City of Madison is now the owner of the property located at 578 MSH East Lane, Madison, Indiana. And whereas the City of Madison will incur certain expenses related to the maintenance and upkeep of the property. And whereas the City of Madison wish to establish a fund in order to deposit funds and pay expenses on the property. Now therefore be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana as follows. A, an account is established for the purpose of depositing monies from donations, appropriations from city accounts, or from any lawful source for paying the required obligations for the City of Madison on the Phoenix House property. B, the account shall be named the Phoenix House Non-Reverting Fund, and all funds contained in the account shall be expended only for the exclusive purpose of paying expenses related to owning the Phoenix House property. C, the express and written approval of the Board of Public Works and Safety shall be obtained prior to the expenditure of funds from the account. D, the account shall be non-reverting and exist perpetually unless terminated by subsequent ordinance enacted by the Common Council. E, if the account is terminated by a subsequent ordinance enacted by the Common Council, the remaining balance of the terminated account shall revert to the general budget of the Common Council.
Okay, that was just the first reading.
Do we have to do 2 more readings on that, or if it's,
That's
Just
just
an
an
ordinance.
ordinance.
okay, got it.
You can still kind of give an overview.
I'm happy to talk about it in general if you want, just, I believe you guys were aware that we had taken back ownership of the Phoenix House from the group that was operating it. And, we may have various ways of having some revenue from it, from rent or, different situations. I just wanted to make sure those funds go to the upkeep and maintenance of the property, because there is going to be some costs involved, so just trying to make sure we get it in there so that funds are specifically used for that purpose.
Thank you. So we will now move on to the interlocal agreement with the county regarding trash and recycling services.
Council, good evening. So this is the interlocal agreement between the City of Madison and Jefferson County. I believe Commissioner Little is also in the audience, available to answer any questions as we go through this. Included in the material that you have in front of you is an outline that lists approximately a dozen bullet points regarding the trash services agreement between the City of Madison and Jefferson County. State statute requires that any agreement, any type of cooperation agreement between municipalities come before our fiscal bodies. So that would be City of Madison Council as well as County Council. The County Commissioners discussed and approved this last week, and we also presented it yesterday to the Board of Public Works and Safety, since it is a public works function that we're performing. And they gave a favorable recommendation to move on to the council. But in a nutshell, the City of Madison and Jefferson County have collaborated through interlocal agreements for quite some time. With this council, the most recent one was about a year ago when we approved the interlocal agreement for sharing of the public safety lit tax. And in exchange for that, Jefferson County began sharing funds with us for economic development and to further our preservation efforts. Also mention that there's lots of collaboration that goes on between the two bodies on a regular basis that doesn't rise to the level of needing an interlocal agreement to codify what that agreement is. And one recent example is during the winter when we had lots of snow, we were running low on our salt and road materials, and Jefferson County was very, very good to work with, and essentially letting us borrow some of their supplies so we could keep our roads clear, particularly keep Hanover Hill clear for our industrial traffic, since this is the first year that we've had to maintain formerly State Highway 56 all the way to the top of Hanover Hill. That, for example, is another area in which we've collaborated. But what we've done here is worked with Jefferson County because they want to self-perform trash and recycling collection and disposal services for Jefferson County residents. That will bring savings to Jefferson County taxpayers, and it will also utilize capacity that we have at the transfer station. There are really three elements I'll point out from the dozen bullet points, and one is this is a 5-year agreement, and we are establishing a rate per ton that is part of our overall garbage collection and city transfer station ordinance, which is Chapter 50 in the city code. Jefferson County has also agreed to contribute $25,000 toward upgrades that we have to make to the transfer station in order to accommodate our current contract with Rumpke. So we're happy that they're doing that. And then the other thing is that in the unlikely event that Jefferson County's truck has a mechanical issue, City of Madison will supplement collection efforts that day with our own truck and driver, and Jefferson County will continue to be responsible for administration requirements related to the trash cars. So overall, I think this is a very good agreement, and happy to present it to you all today. Happy to also invite Commissioner Little to the podium if you'd like to make any comments to address council, and then we can go in and answer any specific questions the council might have about the agreement.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, working with Bob, this is a win situation because the money we invested through Rumpke is a good service, but the fact that money goes out, this money will go back hopefully to the city and the county to be reinvested. So, and we're looking at savings of close to $150,000 a year because it was getting every year the contract up and up. So this to me is a win-win situation, especially having the backup with the city in case our truck, and a new truck, you're going to have issues with them. That's, no way around it. So that way we've got a backup, business will go on. It's just a good deal between the two, I think. So, and as far as, there was a question brought up about what happens should your city truck and driver have to go. We will still monitor the trash cars. We won't put that responsibility on that person. We've started to really look at them hard about presenting your card valid, and that will continue. So, any other question?
How many county residents utilize that service currently?
I believe in February we had sold 1,452 cards. Now, of course, not all of those are probably Jefferson County. I'm sure a lot of Scott, Clark, that live so close to our boundary lines, Jennings County, I'm sure they utilize it too, but they do have to have a card. So at less than $1 a week, it's a very good service for a county. So
Absolutely. What is the cost per card?
$50. Like I say, that's less than $1 a week, so per year. So.
Are they limited in the number of bags that they're?
No, at this point in time, we don't have a limitation on it. We are doing strictly like the city, the household goods. If you have anything other than that needs to go to the transfer station, you are directed that it's not going in our truck. It needs to go to the transfer station. That's what that's for. And we still do recyclables.
Thank you, Mr. Little.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
under the terms of this agreement, if the county's driver was unavailable to drive their truck, would the city provide a driver?
No, I have a backup, should he be off like for a health reason or, you know, some
So we're
legitimate excuse where
strictly
we
back
can
up
be there.
for mechanical.
As long as our truck's functional, we will still use our truck. This is strictly just in an emergency, like, you know, the truck doesn't start or compactor doesn't work, that's when you guys are gonna bail us out, so. Any other question? Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Little.
Joe
Council,
Tesman.
are there any additional questions?
No, there's not.
Discussion.
Are there any questions from the audience?
Come on up. Hello, I'm Ken Lockridge here in Madison, and I was wanting to ask Mr. Little where would we buy the cars at for the trash pickup? We've got a lot of people out in our county in Bryansburg area that don't know about this facility and stuff, and how it operates. They're still burning trash, things of this nature.
Mr. Little, can you comment on that?
What was your question?
It's the auditor's office. Auditor.
Can I
Thank you very much.
May I ask you to repeat the question? I have a difficulty hearing the question for the person at the podium.
Absolutely. His question was, where can the cards be purchased for the county pickup? And Mr. Barlow responded that they could be purchased at the auditor's office.
Thank you.
Okay, we need a motion.
I move that we approve the interlocal agreement with the county for trash and recycling services as presented.
And I would second.
Do we need a roll call vote or?
I would do a roll call vote on this. Creech,
Yes.
Lucy Dattilo,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Chatham,
Yes.
Rampy,
Yes.
Dan Dattilo,
Yes.
Barlow.
Yes.
Thank you, council.
Okay. Next on the agenda is reports, recommendations, or anything for the standing committees for the city. I don't have anything. No? Okay, reports from city officials. First up is our Madison Fire Department Chief Bill DeVries.
Good evening, council. Seems like a while since we've been up here. So in your package, you have our run reports for the first quarter. Any questions or comments on our first quarter response? Okay. So with no questions, I would like to move. We got two really exciting things happening tonight. We're actually swearing in a new city officer. Jeremy Cornelius has accepted the position of Division Chief of Health and Safety. He will be sworn in tonight. Not by the mayor, but Ms. Rampy is going to swear Mr. Cornelius in. So, are you ready? Jeremy, come on up.
Mr. Cornelius, if you would please raise your right hand. I, Jeremy, and repeat after me.
Okay.
I, Jeremy Cornelius,
I, Jeremy Cornelius,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge my duties as the Division Chief of the Madison Fire Department
discharge my duties as the Division Chief of the Madison Fire Department
to the best of my ability, according to law, so help me God.
to the best of my ability, according to law, so help me God.
Okay, that's really exciting. That position has been vacated for some time, and we had a pretty exhaustive application process and interview process, as Ms. Rampy can attest to. With COVID, we had to work with several schedules. So we are blessed in the city of Madison to have so many great businesses to offer assistance to the fire department. So this brings me great pleasure if I can introduce Daniel Hall. Come on up from Rivertown Towing. The City of Madison Fire Department would like to recognize Rivertown Towing as a partner in protection. A partner in protection is a business that goes above and beyond to assist the department in training needs, fire prevention, and other community-related activities. Rivertown Towing has continually been a great partner in protection and in business to assist in obtaining vehicles that can be used for vehicle extrication training and other department training topics. So with that being said, I would like to present our Madison Fire Department Partner in Protection to Rivertown Towing. So that's all I have for the council this evening. Any questions?
I don't believe so. Thank you, Mr.
All right,
Harris.
thank you.
Next up is Madison Utility Superintendent Brian Jackson.
Good evening, council. I had a note in your package, I believe, a little report. I'll kind of hit the highlights of that for you guys. With this relates to the water rate study, we've been talking about it for quite some time. We think we're nearing the end on that. It's the accountant's getting ready to do the final draft. Once he gets that, I put some notes in there about what it's going to pertain to, but once he gets to that, we'll set up a meeting with you guys, the lawyers, the engineers, and the accountant to kind of go through the fine details. But that should be closing in. It's more in the accountant's court right now, but as soon as we get something there, you guys will be the first to know, because we will be setting up a special meeting just for you guys to help over everything. The other thing I wanted to go over tonight was the city's wastewater treatment facility National Pollutant Discharge and Elimination System permit. It's going to expire this year, November 30th, 2021, and the renewal application has begun on that. The wastewater superintendent and I and Commonwealth engineers have been working on it. It's a 66-page document that we submit to IDEM for their first review, and then they send it back, and right now it's in the public comment stage, or the City of Madison comment stage. If we want to change anything, we've reviewed it, we're okay with all the modifications. So once the 30 days expire on April 26th, we will resubmit that to them, and then at the end of the year, December 1st, we'll be issued a new permit. It'll be good for 5 years. Does anybody have any questions about the permit? Okay. The only other thing I'd like to do is at the next Board of Public Works meeting, we're going to be recognizing a guy that works for us, Johnny Caldwell. He's going to be celebrating his 30th year with the city, working here. He's not retiring or anything. He's still working here. He's a good guy, and we're going to give him a plaque. And I just wanted to make that announcement in public so that everybody knew, because he's a really good fellow. But that's all I have, unless you guys have some questions.
Any questions from council?
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Next up is Madison Parks Director Matthew Woollard.
Good evening, council. To hit some of the highlights of what we've got going on, gearing up for summer with our leagues. Currently, youth sports, we've got baseball, softball that's open right now. We've got 66 boys and 43 girls as of this afternoon. That league looks to run between the end of May 25th, through the first week in July 2nd. And that's just going to depend on the number of leagues per team. Tracking a little low compared to last year, but we only ran about 2 to 3 teams on most of the leagues last year. So that's tracking fairly similar, but hopefully we can up that before it actually begins. With our other current leagues that are going on is an adult league. It's pickleball on Monday nights from 6:30 to 8:30 down at the Madison Sport Courts. And so I think we posted some photos of that on the first week. I had a really good turnout, and I think the mayor's even getting to partake in that. So that seems to be going pretty well. And what we've got coming up opening this week is men's softball registration and then women's softball registration. With our city campground, we opened that up on April 1st. We've got a new campground attendant now, Mr. Doug Buckler. He's an avid camper, been doing it for 20 to 30 years. He's got experience managing a campground in Monroe County, so we're very happy that he offered to take on the helm of that. So far, March, numbers are slightly down, but overall year-to-date revenue for the campground is just over $50,000. So that is tracking very, very well. At Sunrise Golf Course, we've got a lot that's going on there. During March, we had 1,209 players, generated just over $12,723 between our card fees and green fees. So we're still pretty membership heavy. Trying to work on some ways that we can get a little bit more daily play. From our analysis that we did last year, we were about 74% membership play. So that's a number we want to try to balance out a little bit. But as it stands right now, we've sold 172 passes overall, 98 cart stickers, and 31 cart barn storage. So that all is doing well. And then Mayor and I have been working on projections, and after the month of March, current projections look that we will be able to hit the black and break even for 2021, which has been our goal overall, trying to eradicate that $370,000 deficit. And then with our staffing that's going on there, we did have some changes. Mr. Byron Chipwood, he has left to take a job that's more in line with his passion of preaching. And so we put a budget together for Brandon Lee, our maintenance supervisor, $15,000 so that he can allocate his summer help. And he's decided to bring back Marvin Shaddy, who's been with us for about 30 years, doing the seasonal labor. And so we've only got about 4 guys over there doing the maintenance, but they're doing an excellent job. Tony Sorrells is really helping out a lot. If you notice, we had a lot of trees down there for a long time. They ended up taking out about 90 tons worth of trees. I think it was about 65 stumps and 80 trees in total that were taken out. So that's been a big help, and it's kind of cleared out a lot of that debris that's been on the course. Then with Rucker Sports Complex, we posted a photo today showing some of the renovations we're trying to get started over there. Mike Cosby's been doing a great job of getting those fields in shape, getting them ready for play that's coming up. Just trying to get some of the edging, that's resodding, things like that, to where the field's just playing a little bit better. But he's doing a great job. Still have a little bit till the games start. We do have 7th and 8th grade junior high softball that's ongoing though on field 3, and that started last week, and they'll run all the way through the month of May. And then the only other things I have for you with the playgrounds and parks, Harding Matthews, we do have 2 swings ordered. For the spot that there was a wheelchair swing, that was deemed unsafe shortly after they installed that. So there's been a vacancy at that swing bay for quite some time. So we do have 2 swings that are ordered to install there. Our guys are going to do that in-house, and that'll save us about $1,000 as opposed to the company coming in and installing it. And then we're looking to add a gate. We've had some members in the community reach out about wanting to have some sort of barricade at that entrance so that kids can't run away, just because that spot is kind of a big area for the playground, and then you have that intersection with the car, so it's a little dangerous if the kid runs after a ball or something like that. So we are working on that, and then working on doing some shade structure down there, just to try to help alleviate with the summer months coming up, and there's really no trees or anything at that spot. And then lastly, Gaines Park. The city's grant specialist and I, we've been working on a grant that will be due this Friday for renovations at Gaines Park. It was something that Mayor Courtney unveiled, I believe, back in February as one of our first initiatives with the updating the city's neighborhood parks. So this is a no-match $300,000 to $500,000 grant. It'll be spread out over 2.5 years. And it's awarded to between 6 and 10 recipients. And the last that I saw on it, they have about 5,500 applications. So this is a very, very competitive grant, but I think that we have a legitimate shot at this. So everything with that seems to be going pretty well. And then I think the last thing I have there is just with the, you'll see, got a general ledger account summary, something that we can pull now from Rec Desk, and I'll be giving you guys the summary version of that each time. If I were to do the detailed, it's about 25 pages per person, and that seems a little wasteful, but if you have any questions over any of that too, I can go more in depth. But you can expect that at the end of each report as well, from now forward. But are there any questions?
Yes, I just had one question in regards to the golf course membership.
Mm-hmm.
How does the current number of 172 compare to 2020?
2020 total was 235. We didn't track in any previous years as far as when those were paid. I know I could see some of them last year. There was a lot of outstanding balances when I came on in June. So I would say that we're tracking similar, but we just don't have any data outside of the total number.
Okay, thank you. any other questions from city council? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, we have no bills currently on third reading. We do currently have 2 bills on second reading.
Okay, the first one, ordinance 2021-3, vacating certain alleys at the request of Heritage Trail, has been tabled, so we need to have a motion to take it off the table if we're going to proceed with the reading on that.
I will make a motion to take ordinance 2021-3 off the table.
And I'll second that motion.
Just ask for an all in favor.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Is that
Okay, it's off the table. Ordinance number 2021-3, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana, vacating certain alleys in the City of Madison, Indiana. Whereas petitioner Heritage Trail, just the heading, read it by, okay.
Really do the whole thing on the first reading.
A silhouette, okay, I'm used to that. Good.
Okay. Do we have any questions from the public regarding that? Any questions or responses from city council? I would like to move to suspend the rules and move to third reading.
I'll second.
All in favor of the motion to suspend the rules?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, on third reading, ordinance number 2021-3, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana, vacating certain alleys in the City of Madison, Indiana.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Dan Dattilo,
Yes.
Chatham,
Yes.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Lucy Dattilo,
Yes.
Rampy,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Creech.
Yes.
And that is that.
Okay. The other ordinance on second reading, ordinance number 2021-4, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana, amending the city code on golf carts, chapter 70, section 70.04.
Are there any comments from the public regarding that ordinance? Any questions?
I do have a couple amendments to make to that ordinance that Joe asked me to read. So regards to 70.04 section M, we would like to add that all golf carts that are properly registered and permitted by Jefferson County can traverse within the city limits without the need to purchase a separate permit or registration from the City of Madison. So that would give us another opportunity to work with the county, who implemented their own golf cart ordinance and registration process that follows our ordinance pretty closely, that if you're a county resident, you have a sticker on your golf cart, that we will reciprocate with that and allow you to access the city roads without the additional permit. The next amendment on there.
Can you read that one more time for me, Chris? I'm
Sure.
sorry, I just didn't get it written down.
Sure. All golf carts that are properly registered and permitted by Jefferson County can traverse within the city limits without the need to purchase a separate permit or registration from the City of Madison.
Thank you.
Now, before you go to the second amendment, we probably ought to vote on the first amendment, so we'll need a motion, a second, and we need to do so we don't have to do just a vote on that, then have to do a roll call.
Can I ask a question? Or do we need to
Obviously,
vote
yes.
first?
Motion and second, and open it up to discussion.
Okay.
I would move that we approve, Does he want him to talk, or? Okay, I move that we approve the amendment as stated to add to section 70.04, section M.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Now we'll open that up for discussion.
Sure. And so being unfamiliar with the county's registration process, is it similar to Madison's, and is the fee structure similar?
I think the fee is the same, if I'm not mistaken. It's $25 or $30, I'm sorry, for the county. Their ordinance, let me open it up here, is almost word for word the same as our ordinance, with the exception of they have a amendment to theirs regarding fines and penalties. They have a section about fines and penalties that we don't have.
Thank you.
Does the county reciprocate with our permits?
No, not yet. So I've reached out to two of the commissioners to ask if ours passes, if we can get that same reciprocation with them. And they're gonna review that.
Would that be up to county council or the county commissioners?
County commissioners, once we pass that ordinance.
Yeah, I would like to just interject here that, what we're trying to do is create a reciprocity with regards to access. So a lot of the conversation we'll have about this ordinance is about access from county to city and city to county. We think that it is good for our community to encourage county residents to come to the city for a variety of reasons, to shop and dine and partake in our festivals and everything the city has to enjoy. So, in our opinion, it does make sense, and they are subject to the city of Madison, golf cart ordinance when they are in the city. And likewise, if a city resident is going to the county, they're subject to the county ordinance. And as Councilman Chatham indicated, they are virtually identical.
Any other discussion on this, council?
On the amendment?
Yes.
Any comments from the public? All in favor of Councilman Chatham's First Amendment, say aye.
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 All opposed?
Nay.
So, clerk, are we ready to go back to open discussion on the ordinance?
So we have one more amendment also.
Okay, go ahead, Councilman.
So under 70.04 section I, after discussion with Councilor Jenner, he asked that we remove the section, all small children who require safety seats as required by vehicle laws shall be safely restrained while riding in the golf cart. So as he and I were discussing, vehicles that get to 19 miles per hour, according to the federal standard for motor highway safety, aren't required to have seatbelts. So they're considered a low-speed vehicle. Most of our golf carts fall under that category. So the need for seatbelts is not something that he felt was necessary for us to enforce if the federal regulations aren't there. So we would like to remove that last sentence in I.
So you're saying most but not all, is that correct?
Sure.
Well,
They don't have a speed. They don't have. Most golf carts don't have a speedometer, so I can't tell you exactly how fast they all go. I know the one that I purchased from the dealer goes 19 miles per hour.
We have a motion and a second on this amendment prior to discussion.
I move that we approve the amendment 70.04I with the removal of the restraint section of that bullet point.
Do we have a second? Having no second, this amendment does not pass. Or move on to discussion.
Council, I'd like to address a few things. Councilman Chatham, are you finished?
Yes, with the amendments, yes.
Okay. So I want to point out and make sure it's clear that this section, 70.04, is part of our broader Chapter 70 Code of Traffic Regulations. So all you're seeing are the recommended amendments to that section of that particular ordinance. There are quite a few other sections of that particular 70.04 that need to be viewed in context with this amendment. I'll mention what they are. They are safety requirements with regards to yielding to faster moving traffic. There are also the equipping of the golf cart with safety equipment such as lights and turn signals, and as well as the reflective triangle on the back of the cart so that it can be visible from other traffic. It also requires that all occupants shall be seated in the golf cart, no part of their body of the operator or occupant shall stand outside the perimeter of the cart. It requires a licensed driver holding a driver's license to operate the golf cart. It requires the operator to comply with all traffic rules and regulations of the state and of the city. Requires liability insurance coverage and proof of financial responsibility. And then what we do, we go a little bit further here with our amendment where we're expanding how to get golf carts up and down the hill, for example, and how to connect Jefferson County with the city limits. We say that we also want to make sure that when a person comes to the police station to buy a permit, that they're provided golf cart rules and regulations. We have a few businesses in town who rent golf carts now, and I know that they're also providing the rules and regulations to those who are renting the golf cart. And then we also comply, as Councilman Chatham mentioned, with the federal motor vehicle safety standards as well as Article 21 of the state traffic regulations. So our golf cart ordinance has been in existence since 2009, so 12 years. And federal laws, as I mentioned, require the safety equipment as long as it's a low-speed vehicle. And of course, none of the golf carts had speedometers in them. And to my knowledge, I don't think that, Chief Wallace may be there. He can comment on how frequently the police are pulling over golf carts for speeding. But I just want to reiterate the fact that there's a broad ordinance in here in our traffic regulations that this golf cart is part of, which also deals with, what happens if you violate the ordinance. We have fines and penalties in the traffic regulations that deal with someone who is violating any section of the traffic regulations. So our goal here was trying to acknowledge the fact that we have a growing golf cart community. It's safe. It promotes tourism. I think we also have a couple of vendors in the community who are doing tourism, guided tourism expeditions now with golf carts. And this just makes sense to just continue to acknowledge what we have and expand it. We've got the participation from NDOT. We have the participation from Jefferson County. And this is not a foreign matter for the city to be dealing with golf carts. You go to just about any one of our great festivals we have now, and virtually all of our event organizers are recognizing the attraction for golf cart attendees. I'll stop there. I'll answer any questions, and then also if there's anyone in the audience who'd like to come to the podium to comment on it, it would be great too.
Evening, Council. I just wanted to bring to your attention, of course, as the mayor stated, this ordinance has been in effect for 12 years, almost 12 years. I was actually chief the first time when it was passed. I frankly have been amazed by how well the golf cart on our city streets has went. We were hopeful for that, but you never know until something's actually enacted. I think maybe we've had 2 injury accidents over the last 10 years, 7 or 8 DUI arrests in golf carts over the length of this ordinance. Owners of golf carts, obviously seem to be very respectful with the traffic, allowing them to go by as it states in the ordinance, which I think is very well written. And more each day, I believe our citizens of Madison are enjoying the golf carts, and I think it does bring a lot of folks to downtown and into various areas for tourists and for our citizens to live here to visit our restaurants and businesses. To date, as Councilman Chad stated, our golf cart permit is $25, and to date we have sold 315 of them to our citizens, and I anticipate as it's only in mid-April that'll continue to grow. So, we all want safety. We want it more than anything. There's always an inherent danger in anything we ever do in life. But so far, knock on wood, we've done a really good job, I think, here in the city of Madison, being safe with our golf carts. So, having said that, I'll be glad to maybe answer your questions. I know Hatcher Hill, Heritage Trail, whatever it's called now, is a concern.
Still Hatcher.
Hatcher Hill, not Heritage Trail.
Okay, yeah.
Right, Bob?
Right, Bob.
Yeah. So that is correct.
I have driven that on the golf cart. Matter of fact, did that again today just to get a view. And if you notice the sign at the bottom, it says authorized vehicle, so I felt I was in pretty good shape. I got it up and down there, just to get a view of what the golf cart driver is going to see. I mean, there's really not a lot of blind curves, blind areas on there. We obviously would want to promote all the safety we could. My only recommendation would be to bolster where we have a fence toward the top, where there is a pretty steep drop off, to bolster that area with some kind of guardrail, maybe some more safety there. But overall, I think it's the vision is good. Crossing 421 at Oliveback, there is a wide view both north and south. I mean, there's nothing going to sneak up on you. The only mistake would be is your judgment itself, but there's nothing going to sneak up on you. You have plenty of vision looking north and looking south, and 421 across there at Oliveback. The state does have signs up. My recommendation would be hopefully they can also maybe put the yellow flashing lights on top of those signs, and I believe maybe even some rumble strips have been spoken about before you get to that area. So the last thing any of us want to do is see anybody get hurt. But we also want to see our quality of life and people be able to enjoy themselves. So, and I think these golf carts certainly bring that pleasure. Very seldom do you ever see anybody driving a golf cart downtown that doesn't look like they have a little smile on their face. And they do seem to be enjoying it. So, as you can tell, I'm in favor of it, but as long as we do it safely.
I'd like to say, Mayor, Courtney and John, I think this meeting obviously is a little bit awkward the way we're running it. I believe that the mayor and John probably would have given their comments if the mayor was here, as an addition to the amendment when Curtis first put it forth. So, given that, since we had a motion but no second, I'll refer to council. Given these added remarks, can we redo that and ask for a second? Because I know the mayor would have made his comments as Curtis made his amendment.
There's nothing to keep him from making the amendment again.
Okay.
And it would still need a second.
Yeah, and point of clarification, Clerk, I believe that the first proposed amendment passed. The second proposed amendment didn't pass. And so what we're in now is the second reading, which is public comment period. So I'm not sure what additional motion is required.
The second amendment died without a second.
Correct.
But what I was saying,
we went into the second reading of the ordinance.
Yeah, I thought I saw somebody wanted to comment back in the room too.
Absolutely.
You're welcome to come up. Dave's coming up.
Age before you Good evening, council, clerk treasurer, and the mayor, and all the others. Dave Adams, 516 Mulberry. I was on council when we went through the first ordinance. The state told us what we could do, what we couldn't, but we're so glad that we did do the ordinance, because at that point we began doing permits and registering, make sure people had insurance and had their own golf cart that were registered. My wife and I, Katie, have probably had one of the oldest golf carts in town. We actually bought from a business downtown and repaired downtown. Now we have 3 businesses in Patrick's area alone, which is phenomenal. We've got a tourism, I think they're coming to talk a little bit handicap. We've got a 3-seater, a 3-seat, which is kind of cool because we always have a lot of family and friends in my youth group. And it's we've driven all over town. We go up the hilltop. We do have a double pass. We've got county and city credits. I appreciate the offer of that one. But we go probably 30 or 40 miles out in the country. We go up Dugan Hollow. It would be phenomenal to be able to legally go up Hatcher, which is a safe hill. I've been on bicycles. We even drove it years ago in the car. So it's nice. We do 30, 40 miles. We go all the way around and try to come back in town because we want to eat on the hilltop. We want to shop on the hilltop. And they love coming downtown. So it's really vital that we kind of work together on that and do it so we can do it. I'm so glad the state actually put up their signs for us. The counties put up golf cart signs, and I like the mayor's idea, the chief's idea, maybe putting a blinker there, because we've tried different ways to go that way. I think it's safe no matter which way you go. But we've got businesses downtown. Last year we had 500 registered. It's phenomenal. You see them around. I've even seen towns that actually have welcome to Madison. We're a golf cart community, please drive safely. So there's a lot of things that we can do, but during the events, it's phenomenal to see all the golf cart people down here. It's great for businesses and for all the events. So I just want to say we appreciate all that you're doing for that.
Thank you, Dave.
I'm going to refer to council again. Should we, if we're going to have discussion, we still need a second to this motion.
We would need a new motion.
We need a new motion, and we really should not have discussion until we have a motion and then a second on that motion.
Nobody's made a motion.
I think the discussion right now is on the ordinance in general.
Correct.
It's on the ordinance with the amendment, correct?
With the one
Yes,
amendment
with the
that has
first
been.
amendment.
Yeah, one amendment
Correct.
passed. So
One amendment passed, and we're having discussion on the second amendment Curtis made.
No, the second reading of the ordinance.
Okay.
With the first amendment.
Council,
And added.
council, would it be appropriate to ask Curtis to resubmit his amendment so that we can second it, so that it can have discussion?
That'd be fine.
That's what I'm saying.
Do we want to have public comment first?
Well, point of order.
Should have a second on the motion.
That second proposed amendment died because it did not have a second to his motion. So, and we're not discussing his amendment anymore. We're discussing the ordinance.
Okay.
Unless council wants to rediscuss his proposed second amendment, then we could go back to that. But right now, we're discussing, not to confuse things, and I think, clerk, just for the record here, we're discussing the
consider that amendment after public comments before we move on,
No, no, we don't have one.
because we have more.
Hello, my name's Kenny Honeycutt. I live at 420 Walnut Street, and I also own a golf cart business at 319 Main. And for your questions before, the Easy Go and Yamaha, and both of those, I'm a Yamaha and Easy Go dealer, and they are all set at 19 mile an hour out of the factory. And they do not come with seat belts because of they're already considered a low-speed vehicle, so there's no federal law or anything that requires them to put those in. But my comments on the golf carts, I think it's a great thing, and if we can tie the Hilltop, county, all of this together, it's just gonna help out the whole city, the county, get everybody down in here. And that's about all I got to say. Thank you.
Mr. Honeycutt, if you don't mind, I have a question for you, since you're very knowledgeable on golf carts. In your opinion, what would be the best way to restrain a young child who would require a safety seat in a golf cart? If there is a way.
Well, most people hold them on their lap. The passengers usually hold them on their lap there, but I don't know that if you put a child seat there, or if you put seat belts on cars and you put a child seat on the rear, there's still nobody back there really to protect that baby. I think self-protection of the father, the mother, whoever's got that baby, that's, you know, because they are only running 19. Most of them run slower than that. All golf course models, they run 13 mile an hour is what they come out.
Okay. I didn't know if there was a easy technical answer.
They do have aftermarket seat belts that you can install. Easy Go or Yamaha just will not put them on because there's no law requiring them to.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And I can make a statement, Kenny. I have a golf cart.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter is special needs, and we purchased the aftermarket seatbelt, and then we purchased a restraint that's appropriate for her. It can be done, and it's not super expensive. So in my opinion, you know, it's a very viable option.
Yes, it's an option for anybody. I mean, you can put them on any golf cart. So, thank you.
And I'll piggyback off of Dan's comment there. The intent to remove the safety restraint is not keep safety important. I have two small children that ride on my golf cart that sit on the back, and I have seatbelts on it for them.
Yeah.
Before they were old enough to ride on the back, they sat in the front between us, and you know, we kind of self-protected. There was no restraints or seats in the front of the golf cart. So it's not to avoid safety. It's not regulated. So
yes,
it was suggested that we remove it.
And we do, my wife and I also, we do historical tours downtown on a limousine golf cart, a big 8-seater, and we have a 6-seater also. And on our 6-seater, we have seat belts on the very rear seat, just for little kids. Not, you know, toddlers in car seats, but small children, we have seat belts back there. On our 8-seaters, we do not, because her and myself is both on it. She is the talker and I'm the driver, so we do not have one yet, but you know, we're not out here running like crazy either, you know. So.
Thank you.
Any other public comments?
Okay, we'll try this again under 70.04 section I. The amendment would remove all small children who require safety seats as required by vehicle laws shall be safely restrained while riding in the golf cart.
That's a motion. Motion for the amendment. Do we have a second?
And I will second.
Any discussion?
So I'll just add that one of the reasons, as Councilman mentioned, that's being removed was to eliminate confusion. But the original intent was to essentially create a public service awareness that that type of public service announcement or awareness can come in multiple forms. It can be on our, it could be on part of the information we give to people who are registering their golf carts when they get the regulations, rather than being an enforceable part of the regulation. So I think Kenny Honeycutt for sharing his knowledge about golf cart speed and what they come with from a factory perspective, and how they're regulated. Ultimately, it's the parents' responsibility for the care of the children, and not only those that are in the cart with them, but those who are using the cart without their involvement. And then secondly, I think Chief Wallace had mentioned that we've not had any traffic issues or accidents involving children in golf carts. So those are just some additional statistics. If you're looking for the data, then for a program that's been in existence for 12 years, only had a couple of accidents over that time period, with literally thousands of miles traversed in a golf cart across our community. Surprising. I think indicates that operators of golf carts are following safety protocols and also following rules and regulations that are dictated by the state and our local ordinances.
My concern with removing this is that first off, I love seeing the golf carts around the East End. I mean, my district is all downtown, as Dave said, and it's a great asset for getting around the real dense urban environment we have here. But what I probably get the most calls about is people are concerned seeing infants riding on somebody's lap, and they're very concerned that while we may not have had any accidents yet, that in case or when one does happen, what happens to the infant? I mean, I see babies, less than a year old, and it concerns me, it concerns my constituents, and I can't support us taking this out. I don't see why we would remove this from the section. My only question is whether or not we should more carefully define what is safely restrained, so as to offer more guidance on how that can be accomplished by golf cart riders.
Oh, sure.
Rick Roos, 1421 Cherokee Court. I think if you listen to what Councilman Chatham said, it's not necessary. And as far as building up all the safeguards that you possibly can, is there going to be an accident involving something, someplace, somewhere, way along the line? You can't legislate that. You can't legislate whether a parent holds a 3-month-old or a 6-year-old. I don't think you can legislate all these safeguards. And it's time to move on with your vote.
No, we can't legislate safeguards, but in that same thing, there's a lot of other things in our ordinance that, in that vein, shouldn't be there either. Right? From what my constituents have expressed to me, they would like to see some sort of city safety requirement for infants. And God forbid an accident does happen. We can't legislate it. We can't force people to do anything short of the police. And I think golf carts are low on the police's priority list. But we need to, I don't see the purpose in removing this from the amendment as it's presented to us originally.
Council Pat. Councilman Chad, could you read that ordinance again, please, for me?
So the way it's written now is Section I is the number of occupants in a golf cart shall be limited to the number of persons for whom factory seating is installed and provided on the golf cart. The additional sentence that was added was all small children who require safety seats as required by vehicle laws shall be safely restrained while riding in the golf cart. So during conversation with Councilor Jenner, a golf cart is not considered a vehicle. It's not considered a motor vehicle. It's a low-speed vehicle that doesn't require any restraints. So for us to encourage a restraint, it's loose of safely restrained. What's a small child? I mean, it's loose all the way through. That's why we're trying to remove it, and it's not regulated by the federal motor vehicle highway safety standards. That's why he asked us to remove it.
No. From a law enforcement standpoint, I foresee us having a very difficult time enforcing the last sentence, as you mentioned, because it is broad and it is loose, and it would be tough to define. You know, I guess if you said safely restrained is the same as safely restrained in a motor vehicle, in a car seat, those type of things, then maybe, you know, we can work with that. But I mean, just as far as being safely restrained, what is safely restrained? Is it safely restrained in mom and dad's arms? Is it safely restrained with a seatbelt or car seat? I agree. It is. That verbiage would be very difficult, I think, for law enforcement to enforce. And I could almost foresee a challenge. Could you not, Mr. Barlow, if this what supersedes federal guidelines?
Yeah, I can see it on a number of bases in terms of the vagueness. I think there's an issue there. I mean, I have a golf cart, and it has seatbelts front and rear.
Sure.
And I have a 10-year-old grandchild. When he's in the rear of that car or in front, in the passenger seat, we have him belt in. I don't typically belt myself in when I'm driving the golf cart. You know,
so you fit it to your needs, and I think Councilman Dattilo obviously put it to his family needs, and then Councilman Chatham did it to that point. I mean,
the other issue in terms of the child in somebody's arms, if you get a 9 or less than year old child, I don't think you could get them in a seatbelt. And I see lots of people drive by my house once in a while, and they'll have a baby in their arms, and it looks like a pretty safe situation from my lay standpoint.
I would almost rather have the parent hold him and knowing where that child is, rather than the back behind them, thinking they're safe without them physically seeing them. So that's just my point of view. I agree that last line.
So as the mayor mentioned, the purpose of that was when he and I started reviewing and adding additional crossings at Clifty Drive, the intent was to stop parents from holding their kids on their lap, specifically the person driving. I mean, we've all seen somebody having a kid on their left leg as they're driving. I've heard it. I don't like it either. So the intent to try to stop that was what the restraint was for. As we quickly learned that that's not necessary, and it seems like it may be safer, as you said, for the parent to hold that child as opposed to putting them in a seat that's not equipped to be fastened to a golf cart.
So Curtis, can you repeat what your amendment would be specifically?
Yeah, so we added to 70.04I the sentence, all small children who require safety seats as required by vehicle laws shall be safely restrained while riding in the golf cart. The motion is to remove that sentence from that section. That's the amendment to section I.
Now you need a second.
We got Jim's second.
We got a second.
Got a second now.
Okay.
Vote.
Need to vote on the amendment.
Any further discussion on the amendment?
I would request.
Clerk, I would just add to the council there that, again, emphasizing that was added to try to increase awareness to safety. There's other ways we can do that. The existing ordinance that's been in place for 12 years doesn't contain that sentence. So what will be left there is the existing language that's in the existing ordinance.
That's correct.
I have a comment over here. I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I just wanted to say I will support this due to the vagueness of the line of all small children, due to anyone in this room is going to interpret that in a different way. So along with anyone driving the golf cart, law enforcement, so if that was something that the city wanted to do, it would need to be more specific.
I do agree with you, Amanda. I think it's, as it's written, it's vague, but and what I believe we need is not necessarily how it's written here, but something with this intent, but providing guidance.
I agree
Well,
with that.
That's what a committee.
And I'll just mention too, I'll just reiterate that public safety awareness comes in lots of different forms. What we're talking about here is an ordinance that's going to be enforced by the City of Madison Police Department.
Yeah, and the line of small children is too vague to have, in our ordinance.
Roll call vote?
Yes, I think a roll call vote would be appropriate. Let's go, Rampy?
Yes.
Debbie, yes.
Yes.
Lucy Dattilo?
Yes.
Creech?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Chatham?
Yes.
Bartlett?
Abstain?
Dan Dattilo?
Yes.
That amendment passes 6-0 with 1 abstention.
Okay, now I think we can see if there's any further discussion on the ordinance in general, and then vote on the ordinance in general with those amendments.
This is second reading.
Oh, just second read, okay, well, you're gonna proceed without me next time.
We'd like to clean up the ordinance before we try to vote on it.
Okay.
In light of all the discussion over that sentence, and I don't know the proper way to do this, if we want to pass what is here or refer it to committee to find some better way to work with Chief Wallace and the city attorney to find some better way to phrase that sentence that is clear and enforceable and just rid of all the vagueness that was there. What would you-
Councilman, if the traffic committee wants to take a look at how to improve public safety with golf carts, I think that's certainly within the traffic committee's right to do that and make recommendations on a whole variety of traffic safety issues later. The traffic committee is one of our city council standing committees, and so we can review any matter that it feels is important.
Let's have public comment.
Hey, just further talk about your seatbelt thing. Of course, golf cart seatbelts, they're not DOT regulated. They're just a safety strap belt is all it is. There's no 3-point hitch. That's why they don't come with them, because they're low speed, and all they are is a belt that goes around your waist. That's the only ones that's an option for those. And they're not DOT certified or anything, so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Rick Reese, 1421 Cherokee Court, pass the ordinance and let whoever study it. Just get on with it. And you're right, I mean, the motion to refer is higher than motion to amend or the main motion. But I think the majority have already said that's not necessary. So I support voting on the motion to adopt.
Rick, it's only on second reading. Their procedure would normally be to have a third reading.
Oh, okay.
Unless somebody moved to suspend the rules and move to third reading. And it doesn't look like anybody's gonna do that.
No, it needs to be cleaned up before we take the final vote on it.
Correct.
Okay, any further discussion? If not,
I would move we refer this to the traffic committee for further discussion and clarification of what is in the ordinance prior to moving it to third reading.
Does it mean you're tabling it? Or what's your?
No, it would just be moved to the traffic committee for a discussion on it, and then returned to council with the comments from the traffic committee.
So we would have to table it.
We'd have to table
I
it.
don't know if you have to take.
I think you'd have to table it, because I don't think they could act that fast. You know, your second or third reading would be in 2 more weeks.
X amount of days and posting before we could have the meeting.
I think what the mayor was referring to as far as the traffic committee is, I think he wants to get this taken care of, and then let the traffic committee address this issue and any other issues regarding carts or, you know, any other traffic safety issues they see relevant to the city, moving forward. Is that a fair statement, Mayor?
That is correct, and we've already, so as a point of order, we've already had the second reading. So the point in time to table this is passed. So this goes to third reading, and my point about if the traffic committee wants to take on an assignment to evaluate how they can improve safety and safety awareness or safety on golf carts, I believe that's a completely separate issue than the matter we're talking about here.
We haven't finished our second reading yet, we're still in the discussion.
We already voted on it.
We had the second reading, just don't vote on the second reading.
No, but we're still in the discussion of the second reading, ergo we can still make proposals and amendments on this.
The only way to do that would be to table it.
In light of I'll remove my motion for the table.
Any other further comments, questions? Okay. Any other public comments regarding any other issues that, please come on up. Please state your name and address.
My name is Stephanie Hellman. I live at 747 West 3rd Street, and I have a business. I have a business at 131 East Main Street. And my question is, and I'm not sure you guys can answer it, but I know someone who can. Why we've been told to dig up our flowers because Main Street is going to be landscaped. By whom? I don't know. And my iris that have been there for years are budding and they're about to bloom. And if anyone digs them up, they will be bad news. Ask Tim Perry about me and my irises. He dug them up once and I said, go get them. But they're gone. Go get them. Where are they? Go get them. And he brought them back to me. And they're there and they're about to bloom. Don't touch my flowers while they're about to bloom. Why? And I know that I've talked to other shop owners. Some people are upset because they like to have their flower beds. They plant things there. They have statues there, whatever. And people who come into the stores like to see the different flower beds. And they mention them. They comment on them. So can somebody tell me, answer any of my questions?
Hi. Happy to answer. So it's happened over a period of years when there have been prior administrations that did not put money in the budget or take any ownership of those spots of planting beds along Main Street. So it's evolved into falling into the hands of property owners if they want to put stuff in there. So what's created is issues like you're saying, there's no uniformity, there's no plan. So we have doubled our budget for landscaping. We're focusing on Main Street through our next 2 major projects, and the landscaping is also a major project. So we're looking for a more organized look. We've tried to give plenty of notice if there's something special to someone that they can have time to take it out and, you know, put it someplace that it matters to them. But this administration is going to do a more uniform look and organized landscape plan for just the central business district from Jefferson Street to Broadway. who's gonna do it? Who's gonna take care of it? Who's gonna weed it and?
So we have a contract with, well, not a contract, we have a landscaping company who's providing, they're doing our baskets for us. They've been growing all winter. That same company is going to come out and plant the plants. It's a partnership. Our street department will be preparing the beds. And we're gonna try and reuse boxwoods and things like that in other places around the city if we can use them. If not, if somebody doesn't want them, if the property owner doesn't want them. So we'll try to reuse them. We'll prepare the beds. They'll come in and plant. And then we have an option to do a contract where they'll come back and make sure they're weeded and look great all the time. We will water as we normally do.
Is it a local company?
It's in New Marion. So what we're going to do is, this is important to this mayor, is that we use local business for everything that we do. So we're going to spread it out. We also have beds on the riverfront. We have park landscaping. We have all kinds of landscaping throughout the city that we want to try to improve. And so we're going to give other companies, local companies, opportunities to do a number of things. This was just the first one and the main one that we wanted to get some work going on.
All right, we'll start somewhere else because my plants are busy right now. All right, I'm serious. If you dig up those plants, I'll come looking for you.
You heard
that. You heard that.
Ian,
yes.
How long have you maintained that flower bed?
9 years.
Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. And I have one other comment that concerns the Board of Public Works, but since they're not here and you are, I read in today's paper that a contract has been awarded to Ratio Architects in Indianapolis to design signs for our parks. And I think it's a shame that we claim to be so proud to be an artistic community, a community of artists, and no local artists were given a chance to design signs for the parks. And I think that's a shame. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Any other public
Can
comments?
I address Stephanie for a second? First of all, I want to say thank you for taking the time out to come here and also for your efforts in keeping your area of Main Street beautiful. And our goal is just that, which is to make sure that our community is clean, safe, and beautiful. And for every one business owner who is taking care of a flower bed, for example, there are quite a few others that go quite neglected, and we're trying to reverse that trend. And so I think it'd be appropriate to talk to those business owners who are properly maintaining the flower beds and just work with them to make sure we do have that uniformity we're looking for, and that none of the flower beds go neglected. That's the real intent here. So thank you, Stephanie, for doing that. The second thing is just a point of clarification. What was approved in Board of Public Works yesterday was not hiring Ratio to do signs. We are embarking on a new 5-year master plan with the Parks Department, and our city planner, Nicole Shell, working with Matt Wooler and the Parks Board and others, are developing the actual master plan. But what we need are design services, and we've hired Ratio to create design plans for us on how to upgrade and re-envision some of these neighborhood parks that have fallen into pretty significant disrepair over the course of the last decade, as well as help us plan a potential new park on the hilltop. So the design contract was for 5 specific parks, and it was about renderings, cost estimates. A prime example of the work that they do is the rendering that we proposed in March in honor of Black History Month, the upgrade and restoration of the Games Park. So that's the type of work that they're doing. It's not about park signs. You're right, we have a lot of talented artists throughout our community. A recent example of engaging local artists is we have partnerships with Madison Area Arts Alliance. We're working with them on the mural project down at the corner of Mulberry and 2nd Street. Mr. Fagan's class, we're partnering with his 8th grade class to design, and the Cub Manufacturing group to actually create and manufacture the public art design for the sidewalk project that we did on 8th Street. And then we support all of our local artists across there. We're working with them in a number of ways, whether it is the visual or performing art. So I just wanted to clarify that contract ratio wasn't about a sign, it's about design services. I haven't seen the paper, so maybe it was not properly characterized, but hopefully that clarification gives you the comfort that we're going way beyond signs with our design contractors.
Thank you for clarifying that. I will go back and reread that and see what I misunderstood. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Stephanie.
Maybe the reporter misconstrued.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, do you have any other additional comments?
Just a couple of quick ones. First, congrats to Jeremy Cornelius. He's a fantastic addition to the Madison Fire Department, so I'm happy to see his swearing in tonight. We did at Board of Public Works yesterday, did do a couple of things. We did what we talked about earlier regarding Interlocal, moved that on from Board of Public Works. We also approved that contract. But there's a lot of exciting things going on in our Parks Department. Hopefully when Matt gave the update to the parks, you saw that we've adopted technology to improve efficiency for transactional purposes. We've got a plan in place that if we can all work together at Sunrise Golf Course, it will completely eradicate that deficit and provide millions of dollars of additional funding to our park program over the next several years. I think there's quite a few things that our standing city council committees need to start thinking about. Councilman Sevenall, you mentioned safety with golf carts is one. We do need to start looking at ordinances for how we're going to regulate food trucks and more particularly transient merchants across our community. Trends are changing. Our ordinances are outdated as it relates to those trends. So I think that there's a good conversation to be had on a number of fronts to make sure that we're, ideally we'd be ahead of the curve, but in the best case scenario, probably we at least meet the current and changing trends with regards to transient merchants, for example. And then I do want to mention too that we're in the process of working with NDOT on a number of things, widening of Wilson Avenue, sidewalks on Quincy Drive, public art project on 8th Street, and then also the large federal highway grant that NDOT provided to us that will be available in a few years with regards to our Main Street re-envisioning. So there's a lot going on. And then over the course of the next month, we'll also be closing in on about a dozen property acquisitions that we've been working on for the last 4 to 6 months. So you'll hear more about those things, but it's about neighborhood revitalization, gateway improvements, sidewalk plan. We've also, Redevelopment Commission also engaged a master sidewalk survey across the entire city, so we can literally more than quadruple our annual investment in sidewalks. So lots of things going on that are real positive for the community, and I'll stop there.
Are you sure?
I was going to say that was more than a couple.
Only if I got more questions.
I want to compliment the mayor for giving an excellent presentation at the Madison Rotary Club last Thursday night. He spent an hour bringing us up to date on a lot of the things that we've
That's
discussed tonight. He did an excellent job, and we really appreciate him coming.
Thank you, Rob. I really enjoyed that, and I apologize that I did go on for an hour, but I think you heard and saw the passion that we have in this administration for just making things better and the partnerships that we have across the community.
That was a good meeting. It was a Zoom meeting, and maybe we'll get you back sometime when we can be live too.
Look forward to it.
Okay, next council meeting will be May 4th at 5:30 p.m. And that's it. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
4. Yes, Thursday night.
Thursday.
Yeah, 4. Yeah.
See you later.
Yes, sir. Yeah, sure. Yeah, hopefully it helps with it.
I saw Graham and who was it? Taylor Rock.
Yeah.
Party.